Hi everyone, I'm going to demonstrate how to care for a patient who has a musculoskeletal injury or a potentially fractured arm for our patient here. Imagine that we came across a patient that had a fracture. For the demonstration, we'll say that it's right about here on the arm. Okay, so on the forearm, on the right-hand side here. So first thing we would want to do is have that patient rest the arm. So they've stopped moving it, they've stopped moving around, they're going to be comfortable in a seated position would be preferred. Next, we want to immobilize it. To immobilize this particular injury, we have some options. They are commercially available. So you've got one that looks like this. It's kind of like a pizza box that you would fold up into position. There are instructions on how to do it on the product. You would kind of fold it into place. If you use something like this to fit onto the injured site, just make sure that you pad the inside for added comfort. So you can see I'm just putting some bandages in there or whatever you have to make it more comfortable. So that's one option that you could use. The option that we are going to use is something that looks like this. Again, this is another commercial product. It comes out of a sterile packaging and it is padded. There's some aluminum inside that gives it some form. So I don't want to be manipulating this injured side as I form the splint. So instead, what I'll ask the patient to do is hold the other arm up into kind of the same position that they have so that I can use that side to form the injury. And remember, with our fractures, we want to be supporting the joint both above and below on either side of that injured site, right? So we're going to support both of those joints. So that looks like it's in about the correct position we need. So we'll take that away and we'll instead put it onto now the injured side. Okay, so you can see I've got both the elbow and the wrist supported. And we're going to hold that in place with some cling. Okay, we'll wrap it. Now, ideally, what I would have done here is check the for signs of circulation before I start putting this on. So in this case, I'll do a bit of a nail bed squeeze. I can see that it's filling back in less than 2 seconds. I've got good cap refill there. We know that's intact. After I secure this in place with my bandages, going both above and below the injured site, I'm going to do the same thing and recheck. Put my cling around. I've left that area exposed so I can continue to monitor any discoloration, swelling, that kind of thing. I can see it right there. I'm going to recheck for signs of circulation. It's still intact. We haven't cut anything off. Okay. So now the splint is applied, but the patient's still kind of expected to hold their arm in this position, otherwise gravity would just force it back down, right? So we can help the patient in that sense too. Notice I've got my ice pack ready, so we've already done the rest. This is now the immobilize, okay? We can put some cold on it. So you'd want to wrap this in something so it's not directly on the skin. Apply some cold to the injured site. And now we're going to help elevate this injury and keep it immobilized as well by applying a sling. So this is our splint that we have. We're going to apply a sling as well. So I'm going to use a triangle bandage. If I kind of back up, you can see this is what it looks like folded in half. If I open it wide out, it's a big triangle with one corner that is 90 degrees. This is the 90-degree corner. This is what I will refer to as the point. And when we set up this sling, we want to make sure that this point goes to the joint, in this case, the elbow. So I'm going to get my patient just to move their arm away from their body so we can slip the triangle bandage in between the arm and their body. Okay, point is to the joint. That's the 90-degree point of the triangle bandage to the elbow. And now the rest of this just comes up and around the back of the neck. So if I were to turn the patient, you could see around the back here, what I've got is the two ends of the triangle bandage. Okay, and we're just going to tie those into a square knot. Careful not to catch any of their hair. And then back on this side, we're going to finish this off by taking any of the excess material that we have around the elbow, and we're just going to twist to use up that material. If you had tape, that you could also use tape to secure it, but if you just twist and tuck that material in, it should stay in place now. And what this does is it allows you to continue to monitor for signs of circulation over here on the fingernail beds, right? So I can check a pulse, a radial pulse if it's available, or I can continue doing a cap refill. And if my patient just lets their arm hang loose, then the sling is holding it up. They're not using any of their musculature, which could be injured. And there's really no force here. All the weight's being held up by the sling itself. So that's how you would do care for a patient who has a potentially fractured or an injured musculoskeletal, injury. Okay, see you later.